All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're doing something kind of weird, but trust me, it is so revealing. We're taking this incredibly chaotic, tiny 54-word audio transcript from a sequence called Dung Beetle Blues, and we're treating it as raw, hardcore linguistic data. I know, at first glance, the snippet looks like complete and utter nonsense. But once we actually map it out, we find this surprisingly complex narrative arc about action, sudden impact, and the sheer hypnotic power of rhythm. So let's get into it and explore exactly how language breaks down when pushed to its absolute physical limits. Let's start right at the beginning with these opening words. Hoop, whoops, it's okay, woohoo. Just listen to what's happening straight out of the gate here. It instantly sets up this frantic, almost slapstick energy. But what's really wild is how deeply human these expressions are for a sequence that's ostensibly about insects. We've got surprise and a sudden loss of control with whoops, right? Then an immediate pivot to reassurance, it's okay, and boom, straight into a triumphant woohoo. It is literally a full emotional roller coaster packed into just 5 words.
Section 1. The initial action phase, charting the opening chaos.
Now, if we categorize these early words, we get a real sense of the psychology at play. On one hand, we've got our action vocabulary, words with real momentum, like hoop, whoops, woohoo, and that super encouraging come on. But then we hit this absolute wall of awe vocabulary. Wow, 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 ending in a massive pow. It perfectly captures this crazy psychological whiplash, resuming from energetic, self-driven encouragement straight into this sudden, overwhelming external force that just completely stops the momentum cold. Let's track how this unfolds chronologically, right up to that climactic pow. We kick off in a state of pure, frantic action. Then, almost immediately, we try to ground things with some reassurance and greeting. Next up, a quick burst of encouragement. Come on, trying to keep the drive alive. And then, bam, unavoidable awe and sudden impact. Every single word in this intro has a very distinct, rapidly shifting emotional job. It's wildly dense storytelling in practically 0 time. Section 2, the awe and impact. The narrative pivot. So what exactly happens right after this collision? Well, we see structured communication completely fall apart in 4 precise steps. First, we've got complex language, like, it's okay. Second, that complexity fades into repetitive awe, wow, wow, wow. Third is the literal breaking point, that singular impact word, pow. And finally, step 4 leaves us completely stranded in rhythmic isolation. The grammar, gone. Syntax, destroyed. The impact literally shatters the language. And I really want to highlight this specific detail, the number 3. Right before everything fundamentally shifts in this transcript, the word wow drops exactly 3 times. Not 2, not 4, 3. You know, the rule of 3 is legendary in storytelling, and here it acts as the final bridge between complex thought and the absolute repetitive madness that's coming next. It's basically the last gasp of structured human emotion. Section 3, the rhythmic takeover, the dominance of sound. When we analyze the word distribution, the statistical dominance of a single word completely swallows the audio landscape. That massive chunk of data is just the word heat. That tiny little fraction left over, that's everything else we just talked about. Every whoops, wow, and it's okay. It totally reframes our understanding of the source material. What felt like a chaotic greeting was actually just a split-second warm-up for a massive, unyielding wall of sound. To put some hard numbers on it, 47. Out of a measly 54 total words, the word heat is hammered out 47 times. That means roughly 87% of this entire auditory experience is completely dedicated to one pulsing syllable. It is a total hostile linguistic takeover. And this really shows the rapid de-evolution over time. We start with joyful greetings and recognizable emotions, right? Then, the middle hits us with that language-breaking impact. By the end, we're just drowning in a relentless rhythmic drone. It completely devolves from a conversation into this trance-like percussive beat that entirely erases the beginning of the story. Section 4, the Daph Anomaly, a blip in the radar. But, data is rarely ever perfectly uniform. Right in the thick of this aggressive barrage of heat, we get smacked with a highly specific, totally out-of-place question: what is Daph? It's wild. It abruptly shatters the repetition, and it demands your attention simply by not making any sense in this context. Let's zoom in on that anomaly. The exact phrase is, that's what Daph. What's so crucial here is the profound contrast it creates. You have this complex, yet grammatically incomplete phrase wedged perfectly between 2 absolute monoliths of identical, rhythmic sound.
It's honestly like finding a fully formed, handwritten sentence on a single brick in the middle of a massive brick wall. It just yanks you right out of the trance. When we map out these structural anomalies, we actually find two glitches in the matrix. First, the sudden appearance of "that's what Daph" that we just looked at, but right after that, there's a second solitary interruption, a single "hey." These tiny little linguistic islands only exist to highlight the sheer, suffocating volume of the repetition around them. By breaking the pattern for just a split second, they actually make the return to the word heat feel even more aggressive and inescapable.
Section 5, the final heat, complete audio saturation. We can actually track how the rhythm accelerates toward the end. We can split the heat repetitions into 3 distinct clusters based on those anomalies. The pre-Daph block gives us 12 consecutive hits. Then, after the anomaly, the post-Daph block drops a slightly shorter 9 repetitions before the word hey. But check out the final grouping. After that last hey, the sequence just unleashes 26 consecutive, uninterrupted repetitions. The rhythm isn't just dragging on, it's actively escalating in density. And there's one final brilliant clue right in the text. Notice the deliberate grammatical shift at the start of that 26-word sequence, the sudden capitalization of the word heat. In a transcript that has 0 traditional punctuation, that capital H is a massive visual cue. It signals a renewed, intense auditory assault. It's literally like someone just ripped the volume knob off. Which leaves us staring at a massive, unbroken wall of text. 26 identical words that completely swallow the end of the transcript. All the frantic energy, the woohoos, the pow, the weird mystery of Daph, it's all totally erased by this singular pulsing block of sound. It's a staggering demonstration of how repeating one word enough times completely strips it of meaning, turning it into pure percussion. And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway for today's deep dive. When structured communication completely collapses into pure, relentless rhythm like we've just seen, what does the sudden silence that follows leave you feeling? I'm going to leave you with that thought to chew on. How sheer repetition shapes our emotional experience of sound, and how, sometimes, the most chaotic data hides the absolute most fascinating structures. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.